Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martyn and I'm talking with Mark Gibson, who is, long intro this, Mark, sorry about it, Co-Chair Application Committee MEF, that's one hat, and the other hat, you're Director of Product Management, Amdocs OSS at Amdocs.
That's correct, yeah.
Good, well welcome.
Thank you.
We'll cover both sides of what you do, work-wise at least. Starting with this, as far as MEF is concerned, tell us about the efforts that are being made to standardise the tricky issue of SD-WAN services. You mentioned it just now.
Yes.
Let's go into a bit more detail. What's so difficult about it? Why is it so urgent?
So I think there's a few kind of issues wrapped up in SD-WAN, and I was kind of, I suppose, on the receiving end of some of them. So SD-WAN kind of emerged a couple of years ago and almost emerged as a complete new stack. And seem to be kind of sit outside of existing orchestration. Yeah. So one of the things which MEF is really doing is bringing it back into the fold of building it into an end-to-end service which uses existing architecture, which also then kind of breaks down that kind of siloed approach. So we're kind of unpacking the silo, if you like, enabling the different vendors to interoperate with each other and to build secure SD-WAN networks within each other. But to even be able to do that, one of the things we've had to start with is saying, well, what is an SD-WAN service? And we've debated it within MEF, and we've had some pretty lively debates, and and we've all kind of reached a consensus that we understand what it is, and we can talk about the components that an SD-WAN service has. So we've got a kind of a list of 7 or 8 kind of key features which SD-WAN services have, which are around security, application layer, steering, policy, all of those things which give you the software-defined part of what an SD-WAN service is. Yeah. And what we're seeking to do is to define then what the customer service is that SD-WAN delivers. So to take the methodology of current MEF services, which is a uni-to-uni service, and to then define how the traffic gets between those unis and what the customer experience is at that uni reference point. So that's where we're starting. We've got a very strong group of people across probably 10 of the biggest SD-WAN vendors. I can't remember the entire list, and I won't start naming because I don't want to leave anyone out. Right. Sins of omission and all that. But but I think we've got a very strong core group of SD-WAN vendors, all of whom want the same outcome. So it's great. It's really energetic. We've got a very strong team. There's a call this afternoon which I'm going to be sitting on to keep the progress going. So that's the aim by our MEF 18 meeting in Los Angeles later this year, is to have that first spec ready for what a subscriber service looks like. And then when that's ready, we can test it, because MEF has also invested heavily in virtual probes, and so we will be able to put a probe anywhere you like at any edge of an SD-WAN service and say, yeah, that's MEF compliant. So the aim is to be able to certify SD-WAN services by the end of the year.
We've talked about the upsides, slightly some of the trickier areas, but generally the upside and the positiveness, positive potential of everything that's going on with transformation, automation and so on. There's a downside, of course, which can be the organisational and the cultural challenges that come with such an important change. What do you think the main challenges are for CSPs when it comes to automating the key functions in the networks, and what will the impact be on the human workforce whose jobs, whose roles, whose purpose in life could be taken by AI or machine-to-machine or IoT or anything else?
I think it's a very interesting question, because I think one of the things that we see firstly when we look at how we help people with automation is that we see lots of individual departments who have to interoperate with each other and who rely on single sources of data. And so one of the things we often find is that we have to help them work with their data sources and try and normalize those down. We worked with a number of service providers, and we go in and we see, well, Microsoft Office is providing them their data store in a lot of cases. Visio, Excel, sometimes even just email is where that data is. So helping them put that into manageable locations which are shareable across those multiple organizations is often kind of the first key step, but also then helping them understand how their processes span those multiple operations, and knowing when something's done. Not relying on an email lost in amongst 1,000 other spam emails, but really having a dedicated system which will tell you we're ready to sit at this point. once you have that in place, then you're able to do things like measure, what's taking the longest time, and then start to focus in on, okay, we've improved process by understanding what it is. Now let's focus on these areas of automation. And what we tend to find is that we'll go in, and initially there'll be a bit of kind of pushback. This is our process, we understand it. We are. We've lived through it.
Yeah.
We don't really want to give it
Yeah.
up because we understand it.
Yeah.
Typically what happens is once you've worked with the department on making their process better, they're free to do much more interesting work. Actually what they become slave to is the drudge, is the day in, day out, I have to build a Visio diagram to do this, but because I'm doing it, I understand what I'm doing. That can be taken away, and you can start to then work on the higher value things, the things which are more intellectually challenging. So quite often the AI takes away the stuff which is automatable, but the stuff which needs a human brain to go sit and think about it, you're then freed up to go do. So it sounds semi-counterintuitive, but actually people have slightly more fulfilling jobs because you automate away the things which they do because they have to, not because they want to.
Yeah, interesting response. I like that too. Lots of people said, oh, it's really did one person that should be named and say it's a bloody nightmare. So I guess you get both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I think it depends what it is you're automating. So certain things can be hard to encode down, and that's maybe where you shouldn't be looking to focus automation. Right. But if you're building diagrams of things, which and in doing so generating a second data store, which has its own life. No, you should be unifying that, putting it in a single place where everyone can access it, and then letting people do more interesting stuff, because we all want to do interesting work.
True. Okay, last question to you. Back to your Amdocs role. Tell us about the company's been working to simplify network operations automation by solving some of those organisational problems we've just been talking about.
So I think I covered a bit of it in the previous answer, but yeah. What we're seeking to do with Amdocs is kind of meld what we've been doing for the past 5, 6, 7 years around helping people plan network rollouts, helping people plan how they groom services when they add a new device into a network, so that they make smart decisions and don't take down very high value services when we're doing that planned operation work. So. And joining that onto our new assurance offering. So we're at the turn of the year, we launched a new automated assurance offering. And so what we're seeking to do then is, what we talked about a little bit at the start, is to break down the wall between the operations guys and the fulfillment guys who are building this stuff, and the people who are then operating it after the fact, and trying to encode into the way we describe process, both the fulfillment and the remediation process as a single operation, and provide the toolkits to help facilitate that root cause analysis and that kind of those kind of war room functions. So we're trying to join the two pieces together and offer a unique kind of hopefully seamless offering to the market.
Good interview, Mark Gibson. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.